We've got Karlovic on Croatia here this afternoon. For your viewing pleasure, it's a ladies singles encounter. Christina Mikhail of the USA against Jelena Jankovic of Serbia. The second court will start in about 10 minutes' time. So another match coming into Laver Arena this Friday afternoon as two-time Australian Open champion Jim Courier joins Roger Federer on Sunday.
Playing someone that serves and stands as tall as Evo does. How crucial was that first set, the set point? You got a lob up and somehow he didn't knock it off. I mean, that was pretty scary, I would think, for you.
Obviously, yeah. I mean, I knew going in it's going to be tough. I played him maybe 5, 6, 7 times, I'm not sure, but 10 times. Yeah, and we played some breakers, so I knew it could come down to a few here and there, and obviously you need a bit of luck too, especially when you have so little play sometimes on his service games or in the tiebreaker with the pressure. So I definitely got a bit fortunate, and I started to play better as the match went on. I don't want to say I got a read on his serve, but I did sort of get the percentages right at times more often than not. So that's maybe why I got through at the end.
Well, he has one of the best serves on tour, there's no doubt about that. I mean, who else would you put in his caliber on tour as far as degree of difficulty to return?
Well, it's just because he's so tall and makes it so unusual to return against, and you only face him 10 times out of, I think this was my 999th match, so it's rare, that's why it's very unusual. I think John Isner obviously is up there because he's so tall as well, and Andy Roddick. Because he's done it for so many years and he's got such a wonderful second serve. And yeah, I've also faced Pete, who you faced too, so I've been around the block and I've faced some good ones, and I wish I had theirs sometimes.
Well, speaking of wishing you had theirs, Rafa was asked if he could steal a shot from you, what he would take, and he said your forehand. So let's flip that question. If you could take one of his,
I think his forehand too. He's got a very good one. He's got a different one than I have, but they both seem to work, which is good for both of us.
Well, he's a creature of habit, as I think you are, and Rafa's changed his racket this year, which I think is pretty unusual. He's added some weight to his racket. Have you ever changed your racket since you got going on tour? You stay pretty consistent with your equipment, or do you like to tinker a little bit?
I think it's important to stay aware of what's out there. Talking to your sponsor and trying to talk things through. Is there something that suits you better, or has the game evolved? I think the strings have had a big impact in the last 10 years. I remember changing back in 2002, so it's almost been 10 years, and almost now everybody plays with half synthetic, half gut. And then obviously you can always play around with a little weight and balance. Inside of the frame you can have that with more sort of fibers inside or not, depending on which surface you play on as well, and then obviously also the weight of the string tension. So there's many ways to play around with it, but it's nice to see that so many different players play with completely different rackets, because it also depends on, I guess, how you make the breakthrough. And that racket you take with you, grip size and so forth, and it's very personal, I think.
That's a long way to say you haven't changed your racket very much.
Come along with Pete's racket. I think he also played it, but it was a small head size. I changed that back in 2002 with the strings, and then over the years I've had little adjustments, but nothing major.
Well, speaking of making adjustments, your next match will be an adjustment because it won't be against someone who's 6'10", and it's also the winner of that match, which is Dolgopolov or Tomic, play very different tennis to most people on tour. What do you think about that matchup tonight? Will you be watching it, and who's going to win? Sorry, it's like 6 questions in one.
That's okay, it's okay. I think I've only played them once each, and I think it's going to be a good match. I'll be watching, and honestly I don't know who to put my money on. I won't anyway because I'm not allowed to, but regardless, I think it's going to be a good match. Obviously, I like playing Australian here. It's always some pleasure. I just played with Davis Cup a few months ago and we had a good match, so I'm sure it's going to be a good one tonight as well.
We look forward to that one. We'll see you soon.
Folks, as I mentioned, the bonus match coming in on centre court is women's singles action. Krista McHale of the United States and Elena Yankovic. They'll be joining us shortly here on centre court.